was trying to lean on this. No, that's. I knew they were going to run after 6. Once they got to the state title game, I was like, we're going to get that state title game. They showed it. It was just like.
We're on. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all for being here on the first day of spring in Augusta, Georgia. Welcome. Yeah, it is the first day of spring, right? Today? Today is the first day. Welcome to these Lee N-Big Commission chambers. Madam Clerk, I call this meeting to order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we will have our invocation shared with us today by Reverend Truman S. Norville, Jr., pastor of the St. James Methodist Church, after which we would like to ask our Human Resources Director, Ms. Anita Rookert, if she would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
Let us pray. God, as we come together today to do the business of this great city, your city, we give thanks for this season of spring, a season of change and renewal. And Almighty God, we acknowledge your omnipotent power in the renewing and rebirth from the throes of winter kill into the budding and blossoming of new life is revealed throughout our city. Yet, Father, and most important, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge first and foremost that this is a season when we are called to reevaluate and self-examine our personal relationship with you and our commitment to serve you with the newness of life. It is a time when we seek to shed our wrongdoings, repent of our sins, and turn our shortcomings into positive strengths as we go forward in life. As we approach the upcoming sunrise of Easter morn, O God, may we all remember and be drawn to your covenant promise fulfilled through the life and death and resurrection of Jesus. A Jesus whose life was a witness to all, a life which taught and teaches us today how to be humble, how to love always in everyone, how to live a life of servanthood and sacrifice even to the point of death. We're also called during this Lenten season not only to evaluate our relationship with you, Almighty God, but also it is a time to reflect on our harmony and unity with our brothers and sisters, our neighbors. This is a time of the year, Father, when we're reminded of your covenant promise to never abandon us as your people. It is a time when we recommit to you our obedience to your commandments, especially your commandment to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, all of our soul, and all of our mind, and to love all of our neighbors as we love ourselves. Oh, this day, Father, as the body of this government convenes, may all present be ever mindful as leaders and good citizens to seek your wisdom, your understanding, your discernment, and your knowledge when leading and governing your community. Father, we pray this day for your favor in guiding these elected officials to serve with a freshness of renewal and to do what is right morally and ethically, not politically, to serve with justice and fairness of all your people in this great city and county. Oh, Father, prepare the hearts of our leaders to pursue your excellence in governing with integrity, with honesty and humility. And Almighty God, impart your wisdom and revelation upon them. Guide them in godly counsel, not with selfish desire and intent or with prejudice of power, but with fairness and justice. And Father, I pray this day that you will make the heart of each of our elected officials pliable, willing, obedient to serve all, for the betterment of the Garden City, to serve without prejudice or malice. And may each discussion today and decision made on behalf of the people of this great city and county today and always be one not self-serving, but of advancing this city forward to be a city of great light and hope for all, in the name of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We offer up this prayer. Amen. Amen.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Norville, I would be remiss if I did not thank you and share with you our appreciation for you coming today to invoke God's presence on our behalf. We truly appreciate you and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Please accept our deepest gratitude, and we value the spiritual insights and guidance you shared with us today. Your thoughtfulness as an act of service for God. We receive that. May He bless you with peace and love for your kindness shown toward us today. Thank you so very much, sir.
Pastor Norval, thank you so much for being here, sir. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you again. All right, Madam Clerk. I think that leads us to the delegation portion of this, well, the recognition portion. Let's proceed.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bobby Williams, Mr. Sean Franham, would you please come forward as we make this great presentation?
Mr. Mayor, may I say something real quick?
Yes, sir. The Commissioner from the 5th has the floor.
I just want to say that, of course, Westside has won 3 state championships. Let's give them a round of applause. But I also want to say that Coach Hunter won a state championship at Laney, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Coach Hunter? And then you won 3 at Westside. You have a man who has won 4 state championships. Stand up, Coach Hunter. Let's give him a round of applause. I don't think we have any other coach, and I played at Laney under Coach Dupree. We don't have any other coach in this area that has won 4 state championships. Another round of applause.
At this time, the Augusta Commission would like to offer its congratulations to the 2023-24 Westside Patriots boys basketball team, the Georgia High School Association 2AA state basketball champions. And now I will turn this over to our sports director from WRDW Channel 12, Mr. Dan Booth, for our recognition.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me back again. It's always fun doing this, and I think having the chance to have been here for the last 2 state championships at Westside, it has been so much fun to be able to be a part of this journey and to be able to tell their story in and out, just everything they've been able to accomplish. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that, like you mentioned, sir, winning back-to-back state championships is something that is seldom seen in any sport, let alone high school sports where there's so much turnover, there's so many different variables that can come into play to be able to prevent something like that from happening. So the ability of Westside to be able to go out there and do all of this over the past 3 years with continuing to have a bright future and potentially being able to go for number 4 next year, it says a lot about everybody here in Augusta. It says a lot about Westside. It says a lot about Coach Hunter and his staff, all the players who have been able to buy in and do what they've had to do. It really is special, to say the least. And before I get into the roll call, I just need to say, too, I think we live in a world right now where there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of critiquing. There's a lot of finding ways to rip people or things down for X, Y, and Z reason. And I also think it's important to find times to celebrate and appreciate what we have in front of us in the moment, which is a team that was able to accomplish something that very few people thought they could, and that history tells us is extremely difficult to do. So congratulations to Westside and everybody over there and everybody here in Augusta for continuing to hold that torch. And like we've talked about, Coach Hunter, continuing to show everybody out there that Augusta can definitely ball when they hit the court. So that is a big part of it, too. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Levante Ivory. Jarius Atkinson. DeMarco Middleton. Aldrion Jones. Kiori Atwell. Dontrell Jackson. Javon Webb. Xavier Goss. Bobby Blackwell. Zachary McFadden. Karsten Bryant. Jamarcus Crawford. Brandon Borders. Keyshawn Graham. Team manager Corey Irvin. Assistant coach Shiloh Robinson. Assistant coach Ethan Taylor. And as previously stated, 4-time state championship winning head coach Jerry Hunter.
Mr. Mayor, can we have? Yeah.
Go back. Like, go back.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Come.
Yes, sir. Just give me a minute to read it. Huh. Well, he's after we do the proclamation of Mr. Turner. Office of the Mayor. City of Augusta proclamation honoring the 2024 Westside High School boys varsity basketball team. Whereas Westside High School is a Richmond County public school located in Augusta, Georgia. The mission of the Westside High School is to provide a safe environment and caring atmosphere in which all students can and will learn while becoming respectful, productive citizens. Westside is dedicated to ongoing professional development, extensive and effective use of data to improve teaching and learning, personalized college planning and preparation, and work that supports this philosophy. And whereas Westside Athletics is focused on the physical and the emotional well-being of their student athletes and rooted in sportsmanship and personal accountability. The Westside High School Athletic Department supports and emphasizes the academic, athletic, and social growth of their student athletes as leaders both on the court and in the classroom, while embracing the diversity of their school community and fostering a respectful culture that celebrates those differences to achieve great success. And whereas the Westside Patriots successfully defended their title on March 7th, 2024 by defeating the Toombs County Bulldogs 64-29, I'm sorry. to earned their third consecutive Georgia High School Association 2AA state basketball championship. As a result, Westside became the first Georgia High School Association Augusta area basketball team to secure a three-peat. And whereas for the third year in a row, they are named the Regents 4AA champions and the back-to-back AA state champions in boys basketball. This team has been dedicated for the multiple seasons, and they are leading all other teams by example. The sportsmanship shown is admirable for these young men, and they are coached by some of the best in the CSRA. Now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Garnett L. Johnson, Mayor of the City of Augusta, do hereby proclaim March 19, 2024 as Westside High School Boys Varsity Basketball Day. In witness thereof, I have caused my hand and caused the seal of Augusta, Georgia, to be affixed this 19th day of March, 2024. Congratulations, boys basketball, Patriots of Westside. Now we will have a presentation by Mr. Moses Todd, one of our former commissioners, a presentation from the Plumbers and Steam Fitters UA Local Union 150 to Coach Jerry Hunter, Westside Patriots High School Boys Team 2023-2024 Georgia AA Champions. Mr. Todd.
Yes. On behalf of the membership of Plumbers and Steam Fitters UA 150, want to congratulate you. And we also want to show a token of our appreciation, Coach. So that's a check for $500 from the membership of Local 150. And I have with me our organizer, one of our organizers, Mr. Kyle Bradford. And we're looking forward to do this again. You know, we done it last year. And so certainly, you know, if you're looking good, we'll go on and do the motion and all ahead of time so we don't have to wait on the check. So again, we appreciate everything that you guys do to make Augusta look good.
Coach, would you like to say anything?
Hold on, guys, for a second. Hold up. On behalf of the team, the mayor, commissioners, as well as the community, we want to say thank you for supporting us. And it's definitely been a journey with this group. Like Dan mentioned a little earlier, you know, it's a lot going on in the community, and you know, hurt people. So you know, these guys are feeling pretty good about themselves right now. So we're going to try to spread some of that energy amongst our elementary schools to show these kids, because they experienced something these past 3 years that most don't experience. You know, they had an opportunity to achieve something that had never been done in the history here. So they're going to enjoy the fruits of labor, but you know, most of them are going to go back, and then we'll be back to work pretty soon. So thank you for supporting Westside High School basketball team.
Madam Clerk, it's always great to see three-time state champions in the house. I tell you, Coach, you're doing something well, because I don't know what your average height is, but you're growing them well. In addition to Westside, we got to thank some great community stewards, because they were able to participate in this weekend's St. Patrick's Day Parade. And Chauncey's Towing and Recovery, Marlene Chauncey, provided some floats for Westside, and another great state champion, as well as Mr. Wayne Lanier at Lanier Meat Market. He fed these guys before the parade. You know, he's always a great community steward. He did. So let's give a round of applause for those folks. And then, lastly, there is some great Westside alumni that was able to contribute their time and to feed these guys, and I was just amazed by their generosity. Veronica Bogans, Sarah Sullivan, Carla Choice, Marla Choice, Kylie Nelson, and Shantae Stokes. They committed their time to come out and feed and serve these guys, so we want to thank them. Congratulations, guys. We look forward to continued success from you guys. Coach, thank you so much for what you do. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, let's continue.
Yes, sir. Call your attention to the delegation portion of our agenda. Item number C, the Greater Augusta Arts Council selected finalists for the Gateway Sculpture of the Sandbar Ferry location.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. I'm Brenda Durant. I'm the Director of the Greater Augusta Arts Council. Before we begin about the Gateway Sculpture, I'd like to introduce you to our new Public Art Manager for the City of Augusta at the Arts Council. That's Denise Tucker, right here. Just to give you a little bit of history, in SPLOST 7, you all allocated $1 million for 3 gateway sculptures. We have finished the first part of the procurement process for the gateway sculpture on Sandbar Ferry Road. We've narrowed it down to 4 finalists. They are here today. I'm going to introduce you to the artists. Wesley and Colleen Stewart from Metal Specialists of Augusta, Georgia. Mark Moulton with Outdoor Art Sculpture from Statesboro, Georgia. Mark is with his partner, Pam Reynolds. Eric Randall Morris, Associated Space Design from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, y'all have to turn around and show the commissioners your beautiful faces, too, now. Come on, let's do both. And Gregory Johnson Art from Gainesville, Georgia. So the 4 artists have brought models, which in their world are called maquettes, for you to see. They will be downstairs in the Linda Beasley room. They'll have a quick presentation as soon as this meeting is finished. So when we sent out the press release, a lot of press called Rion Swain and said, well, what time is that meeting? And she said it says what it said in the press release, as soon as the commission meeting is over. So we started on time, so we shouldn't be here till 8 o'clock tonight. So I hope you all will stay and come in and look at the models, the maquettes, new word for me, and then you'll listen to the artists talk about their art. So thank you very much. We'll see you all when this meeting is over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Wish I thank y'all so much for being here. You guys have a great rest of the day. Keep it going. See you again soon. All right, Madam Clerk, I think we're quiet enough to continue.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
while we didn't address our addendum agenda, we do have additional recognition of our employees. Can we consider that? Is it without objection, hopefully?
If there's no objection, we have just one more delegation item, right? Let's do the recognition first, and then
Right.
we'll do this last
Right.
delegation.
Right.
No objection, colleagues. Seeing or hearing none, let's go do the recognition, Madam
Okay.
Clerk.
Our recognitions, we would like to offer the Augusta Commission's congratulations for our 2024 February years of service recipients, 25 to 50 years. Ms. Anita Ruckert.
Good afternoon, Mayor Johnson, commissioners, interim administrator, Madam Clerk, and citizens of Augusta. It gives us great pleasure today to recognize our February years of service recipients. For the month of February 2020, we had 21 employees celebrating 5 to 50 years of service for Augusta, Georgia. This afternoon, we'd like to recognize our 25 to 50 years of service recipients. For the month of February, the total years of service and institutional knowledge being celebrated today is 350 years. Yes, that's awesome. So when I call your name, please come forward. Marty Fluella. Information technology, 25 years. Information technology, 25 years. Deborah Horn, Utilities, 25 years. Michael Alsbrook, Engineering, 35 years. Thomas Johnson, Sheriff's Office, 25 years. Paul Evans, Sheriff's Office, 30 years. Again, thank you to our February 2024 Years of Service recipients.
Thank you again to all that celebrate this humongous milestone for your commitment to the city of Augusta and its citizens. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, I think we're ready to continue with the delegation portion, but before I do that, before I forget, there's one more recognition I need to do. Former Commissioner Moses Todd and the I Love Augusta donated 50 flags to the city for our effort in making sure that our cities are properly flown. So on behalf of the city, Mr. Todd and I Love Augusta, thank you so much for your contribution, sir. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Our next delegation, item D, Mr. Ben Hassan, regarding discussion on the NV5 contract.
Thank you. All right. Former Commissioner, Mr. Ben Hassan, sir, you know the rule, name, and address for the record, and you will have 5 minutes. Get my timer out.
Oh, it's not going to take that long. I'm done.
You ready? Oh, okay. Good afternoon, Mayor and the Commissioners. My name is Ben Hassan, 3529 Monte Carlo Drive. Hope my mouth don't get too dry and fasting, so hope we'll be okay here.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is about the last month and a half. What's been on my heart is about NV5. NV5 was the consulting company that we hired back in 22 to go along with the $25 million project that Train has. As a result of that, we know we've built a couple of facilities. We're talking about those solar panels at Diamond Lakes, the one here that's on the property. So imagine they've completed some other jobs. As a result of that, at some point in time, there's a report that's going to come back to give us an update, this community update about where we are and what's the status of. And so I was wondering about that and wanted to hear that. And as a result of that, that's where we are. But also, I wanted for those commissioners, some of the commissioners that were not here at the time when NV5 come on board, and as just a reminder to many of us exactly what was the benefit of hiring NV5. Can you go back to the first one, please? I apologize. And number one, this is what was happening here with approximately $25 million worth of energy that we hired them for to monitor that. $1.5 million in guaranteed annual savings, 45% reduction in utility costs, guarantees annual savings, cover all future project costs. Because it was a fully funded project, a self-funding project. Go ahead. Self-funding project. And some of the ways that they saved us money once we brought them on board, because we did not have the expertise in-house. And then coming on, they identified and corrected inconsistencies in the maintenance operation from $40,000, from $70,000 to $40,000. And keep in mind, this is a potentially 18-year project. So we're talking about annually here about a $30,000 savings. Also identified and corrected a $5 million discrepancy in thermal saving charges as well. Also, they unbundled what was a bundle that originally at Augusta we were paying about $307,000 a year, would come to a total of 18 years, come to about $7.2 million. So they unbundled that, and as a result of that, we end up going to be on hook for about $100,000 a year if we decide to keep this maintenance performance on board as well. So when you look at that number there from $100,000, that's $1.8 million versus $7.2, that's a $5 million savings there as well. Anything else? Go ahead. Okay, and also what they did here that really benefited us because it will be energy saving. This is monitored annually. Once things is up and running, after every year, they will be monitoring whatever they've built out to try to make sure it is doing what it's supposed to do, and the savings is there. And if the savings is there, 25, 30% savings, because it's supposed to be self-funded, with that at the end of the year, then we 25, 30% to the good. However, in the original contract that they corrected was the fact that it was going to be, that Train said, well, you made 25% increase. When you fell off the next year 10%, and you take that 10% from that 25%, you're good to go. They said, no, state law doesn't allow you to do that. Each year stands on its own. So if we fall short any year with them on board, then Train would have to make it up, or Train have to write us a check, or Train can give us a service, whatever the commission decides they want, but you need the NV5 to support that, to recognize that those things existed. And so that's fine, but you can leave that right there. And so in coming last week and in seeing those things, I don't want you to see some of the money there. So the numbers were $5.4 million. $540,000, $90,000 when you look at the period of over 18 years. But when I was here last week, because there wasn't on the agenda, just happened to see it, it come up in the course of the conversation, and that was a phase 2. Well, the only phase 2 that we had, hold on, take it for a minute, in this project was what you see right here. And the reason I'm using this as an example because we know that the paperwork was over 800 pages, so we brought in NV5 to try to keep us on track in terms of itemizing and giving us a clear understanding about where we are. And with that, phase 2 was attend progress report, construction meeting, review design drawing, inspect stall work to ensure to make it's compliant, monitor report construction progress, oversee the preparation and resolution of punch list items. That is the only phase 2 that was involved with this project. There's no other phase 2. And so I looked at that, what we saw last week. That means that Train is doing this on phase 2, and as a result of that, NV5 is monitored with that process there, and then they go to a phase 3, and that's when everything is complete, and they start all of their process of monitoring everything. But the phase 2 that I saw last week here, that's associated with what we did, don't remember that. Think that once we signed off, that contract was closed out, that our procurement was closed out. So what we see in phase 2 here now, talking about a $14 million project, that was not part of the project. I don't recall that, and I'm quite sure that wasn't there.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a colleague in the queue, so just for clarity to this body, you're stating that the phase 2 that we discussed last week was not a part of the original agreement. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
All right. I have a couple of questions. One, Commissioner Hassan, you're not saying that you're necessarily against it. You're just saying we need to put NV5 in it?
Well, I don't think you should, against on this level that you're talking about now, I'm not against the project if it be done correctly. From what I heard last week, when you're talking about the party that was not involved in a very unique way, I didn't hear procurement.
Now, what part are you talking about?
We were talking about last week when you mentioned that your administrator mentioned that she didn't get it to that previous Thursday. You're talking about your procurement was never mentioned. You're talking about your attorneys had not looked at it. You're talking about your finance department would still have some concerns. So with those kinds of things, I think this is a separate project. And that's my point. And I think this project should have been procured out separately from that. I can't speak on it beyond that. But what I would be looking for, if you did take it on, is that what is the annual benefit and how soon does that annual start?
Okay,
It's a separate project.
All right, let me, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call Ms. Sams up.
Yes, sir, you may.
Ms. Sams. Ms. Sams,
Yes, sir.
just going to throw a series of questions at you. Is this the right thing to do now? Did you all take a look at it? Have you viewed it? And what do you have to say about the process?
I think Mr. Former Commissioner, her son obviously was in my window about 4 o'clock this morning because everything he said, I have to say that I agree. This phase 2 has not been vetted by the procurement department. We did not see it and haven't had an opportunity to see how we got here. It's a procurement that needs to be vetted. It's a new process. Things that we heard, now it may be beneficial to the city.
Gotcha.
But when you come to bottom lines, it holds more than just dollars. It holds integrity. It holds procurement's value. It represents you as a commissioner and our city.
Okay.
And something like this can put us in a very awkward position by not following rules.
Now, Ms. Dow sent out something, said that a phase 2 is authorized or something, but you're saying that we still have to vet it before we move forward. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the process was not vetted. No one, I don't believe that it was in the intentions of anyone, but unfortunately, those persons who you hold accountable for the monies, for the process, and for the implementation of it, none had an opportunity to view it prior to it being placed on the agenda.
Okay.
The other thing is I had an opportunity to kind of look at some of the contractual documents when Mr. Mason last week asked me to become a part of that. And in some of the contractual documents for both companies, they are not in direct sync with what was put on the agenda.
Gotcha.
So I'm asking you to please slow down a little bit.
Okay, so my question, let's say, if somebody were to make a motion and say, give them some time to take a look at it, how much time you think you need?
I would have to get with not just me, the administrator, and also with the finance department. And I think
30
that
days,
we would
60 days?
Okay, we could look at 30 days. And if we need more time, Ms. Dowse will get with you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I'm through, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes, before we go too deep in this, colleagues, just keep in mind there's a couple of agenda items that gives us an opportunity to discuss it further. But I'm going to recognize now Commissioner from the 4th, Commissioner Alvin Mason.
All right. Well, since there are some agenda items, number one, the agenda item was placed on by whom? Who placed the agenda item on?
Madam Clerk, is there any record of who requested?
Interim Director Ron Lampkin entered 25 and 26.
Okay. All right. All right, let's, Commissioner,
well, hold on. Well, just hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Is there a representative from NVS here?
MV5.
NV5? Oh, that's you?
No, NV5 will be called in once we get to the agenda item. They are ready to be on. Of course, they're out of New York, so they won't be here, but they will be on the call when we get to that agenda item.
Okay, and when we get to it, I don't know if you've got some contact with them. Are you going to ensure that they're going to address what's been said here now?
Right, they're prepared to answer any questions. And I think what's happening is, and former Commissioner Hassan is correct, I think we calling it phase 2, but it's more of not a phase 2, but a change order to the scope of work that's being done. And I mean, I think it's been labeled phase 2, but phase 2 is already, it's according to MV5 contract, phase 2 is for them to oversee construction, which will be the same thing this time. You have an audit that needs to be done before we even start discussing going into construction. So it's not about construction. This is more about the approval to get a new audit done to see if it's valuable for us to move into construction. And MV5 and the representative for training to be here for that agenda item.
Mr. Mayor, I'll have some additional questions when we get to that item. But other than that, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner from the 4th. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question is for our parliamentarian, our clerk. What I'm hearing is that if there's no phase 2 and all these types of things and this wasn't properly procured out, is there anything to even talk about in an item on the agenda later on? How can we discuss something that's potentially going to cost us almost $400,000 if it hasn't gone through the proper processes?
Turner Brown.
Mayor Johnson, I do not think that's a parliamentary question.
Okay.
Per se, there's something to be said on it, but I think it's not a matter of parliamentarian order. What the mayor has an option to either call this item now and continue the discussion, or to end this item per the rules of delegation and then come back to it some hours later.
All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through the consent agenda and we're going to move these items to the top of the order, okay? Is it okay with you, Madam Clerk? After we do the consent agenda, we'll go to item 25 and 26. We'll go to that first.
Move those up too.
Congratulations again, sir, in your 35 years. Have a great day. Keep it up, sir. Thank you. All right, colleagues, seeing no one in the queue, Madam Clerk, let's do the consent portion of our agenda.
Okay. Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 21. Items 1 through 21. For the benefit of any objectors to our planning petitions, once these petitions are read, would you please signify your objections by raising your hand? Call your attention to item number 1. It's a request for concurrence to approve a petition requesting a rezoning from a Zone B1 neighborhood business to a Zone light industry affecting property located at 2228 Martin Luther King Boulevard. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors? Seeing none, let's continue.
Item number 2 is a request for concurrence to approve a petition to remove condition 1 from previously approved zoning 2250 and rezone property from R3B multiple family residential to a zone R1E single family residential affecting property located at 3125 Richmond Hill Road. Are there any objectors to this planning petition?
Any objectors by show of hands? Seeing none, let's continue.
Okay. Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 21 with no objectors to our planning petition.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. I don't see any colleagues in the queue yet. Come on with it. We got anybody want to?
Are we doing?
All right,
we doing consent?
Yes, sir. All right, they're coming in now. Here we go. Wait just a second. I'm going to go to Commissioner Garrett. He came in first, Commissioner from the 5th, and you're up next. Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you. I'd like to add item 29 and 24 to consent.
24 and 29. 29. All right. Commissioner from the 5th, you now have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir. Number 2 is not giving us a district, but it says Richmond Hill Road, which may be mine, so I'm going to pull that.
You going to pull number 2?
Yeah, I'm going to pull number 2, and I'm going to ask that we move 25 and 26 30 days out.
I beg your pardon, sir.
That we put 25 and 25 and 26 and move those 30 days out.
Does that need to come in the form of a motion, or is it?
Well, I was going to
is it-
just put them on consent and ask for 30 days out.
All right, so Commissioner has a, Garrett has he has a question on those, so there's not unanimous consent on that.
And that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
So 25 and 26 remains.
But I'm pulling number 2 because it's not giving us a district, and I need to hear more
You got it.
about that.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, from the 5th. Commissioner Jordan Johnson from the 1st. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On item number 18, I'd like to amend that motion. On the 4th line, it says call Vincent Institute of Government, but they're not the best channel to go through for something like this. Instead of call Vincent Institute, I like to add Urban Institute.
Urban?
The Urban Institute, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Urban Institute. Is there any objection?
Thank you.
I don't think there would be. All right. 18.
Numbers 18. He's modifying the attendees to
Urban
delete
Institute.
Carl Vincent and add Urban Institute.
And it remains on consent. All right, colleagues. Commissioner from the 5th, you back in the queue?
Oh, I'm out.
You're out. All right, Commissioner Garrett. you
Motion
back
to
in.
approve as stated.
All right, there's a motion and there's a second. Before we vote, Madam Clerk, can you just clean us up? Can you?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Can we move back a second? I understand through conversations with some folks in the government that we did not give, I think it's on 22, said we did not give them proper notification. So, Attorney Brown, can we, how far out will we need to move that to give them notification?
After consulting with planning department, 2 weeks would be sufficient, the next commission meeting.
All right, so I want to delete this item, if it's okay with everybody, and bring it back in 2 weeks. I was told that we did not give them proper notification.
All right, if we didn't give.
Mayor.
All right.
Commissioner Williams, if you're trying to have it for 2 weeks, you could move it to the next commission meeting now with the request to have the planning department notify the license holder.
All right, so let's do that. Move it out to the next commission meeting.
Is there any objection to that, colleagues? Seeing none.
Can we add that to the consent?
That's good.
Okay, so you're going to add 22?
Next
Consent
commission
to
meeting
next
with Planning
commission
and Development, providing notification to the licensee.
Okay. All right. Attorney Brown, you good? You still in the queue? You okay?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. All right, Madam Clerk, I have a motion and a proper second. And just before we vote, can you just clean this all up, if you don't mind?
Yes, sir. Under our planning portion of the agenda, item number 2 has been pulled. Our added to the consent agenda, item number 18, with the correction to delete Carl Vincent Institute and to add the Urban Institute. Adding to the consent agenda, item number 22 for the next commission meeting with Planning and Development Department, providing notification to the licensees. Item number 24 on consent, and item 29.
All right, colleagues, we're voting.
Mr. Guilfoyle, okay. That motion carries with Mr. Guilfoyle absent from today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As mentioned, I think we're going to start with item 25 and 26 first. Yep. We have to get NV5. They're going to be on.
We need to get them on the phone.
Okay.
No, we're not on Zoom, right?
Ready for this, Troy?
Who's dialing them in? Who's getting them in?
Yeah, so what are we trying to do?
Well, as that stated, that ain't what's happening.
It's been 26 first. All right, Madam Clerk, we have them on the phone. For the record, we're going to address item 26 first. If you can read that into the record, because as I've been told, without 26, we can't address 25. 26 first.
Item 25 is the motion.
No, 26 first.
26?
Yes.
Okay. Item 26, approve Phase 2 audit of the city county buildings by Train as it relates to the Augusta-Richmond County Energy Savings PAC project. In addition, approve payment of $398,000 to Train for Phase 2 audit.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, Director Lampkin.
All right, so we brought this forward last week, and it was some questions, concerns, and it was still some back and forth going. I think in your packets today you received an updated contract from Train on this, and the reason being is because NV5 was reviewing those documents from the first contract, and so we were trying to move it along. I think we've got all that hashed out except for maybe one item that was in the contract, and that was the 10 days for NV5 to review and the county to review any documentation set over by Train. The only issue was they were saying maybe it should be 15 days, but in speaking with Train, 10 days is just a number. If it takes a little longer to review documentation, then, 15 days, that's not a big ask or a big hang up. So what we're doing now, and just so we're clear, this approval is for us to get to the audit. Also in the contract that you see is different is we have a 30, 60, 90-day period. What that does is not put us on the hook financially for the full amount of the $450,000. What that does is gives us an opportunity at 30% to see where we are. Does this make sense? Should we continue to move forward with the project? And then that NV5 will review. They will give their review comments, we'll review, and then we'll determine if we should move forward. And the next mark we'll hit will be the 60% mark. It will do the same thing. If we decide then that we want to stop, we can, and then we'll only be billed for what's been done so far. And like I said, we have, for any questions, we have the representative from NV5 online. We have the representative from Train here, and then all other parties that are involved should be here as well.
All right, thank you, Director Lampkin. I'm going to start out with Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yes, sir. I'm not against the contract, but when you have your procurement director stand up here and tell you that you need to take a look at it, that the administrator has not looked at it, that procurement has not looked at it, that the lawyers have not looked at it, I think we need to slow down and let these folks who we hire to do the job, to do their job. So I know we've got people that have questions, but the procurement director said she needed about 30 days. So I'm going to make a motion that we move this out 30 days.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. There is a motion to move out 30 days. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion? Hearing no second, that motion fails. Is there a second to that motion? Motion fails. All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Lampkin, I understand that last week there was some discussion and some questions around this item. At any point during that discussion, I was out of town, so I didn't have a chance to listen to it. Did procurement offer any objections during the discussion last week in committee?
They weren't down at the time, so no, they didn't. But also just to address a procurement concern, and the reason why we went into this, and know that once again, this is a time-sensitive issue. What we did find that was, according to Georgia Code Section 50-36-3F, it allows for a phase 2 under a single procurement, if I stand correct, and that's what we bought it for. And the only reason we did this is because, like I said, in late December, early January, we found that you can get tax credits to get this done. And so the tax credits are contingent upon us having dirt turning by January 1, 2025. So that's the reason why the process is moving along so quickly, because we can't go into construction without a full audit to make sure that we should go into construction. Also, to answer a legal standpoint, that contract was sent over to our legal attorney, who's here for more support. So she did have a chance to review it, and she asked questions, and I did answer those for her. And like I said, with any other questions, we do have NV5 on the line. We do have Train here, and also if procurement has any questions or needs to actually look at anything that they can. Like I said, all this is to approve us getting the audit done, and the second phase of this is to approve NV5 an extension of their contract to review the audit, not necessarily to go in construction, because we won't know if we're going to go that far without the audit being done.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, just for sake of, well, never mind. I was going to say, can you, because we got colleagues that's getting into the queue. You dropped that. Can you, your mic, there you go. All right, perfect. Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 4th, Commissioner Alvin Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see here where I want to go here first. Give me just a moment there. On from NVS, you said they're on the line? NV5 rather.
Line,
and
yes.
then there's a representative from Train as well.
Right, yes.
So, well, let's back up a minute. Let's bring the legal representative up that looked over this. She still has to say the name for the record and all that?
Yes, sir, she does. Just for the record, ma'am.
Lenitha Pitts.
Can't hear that?
Lenitha Pitts.
Oh.
All right.
Can you read?
Did you get that, Ms.? Oh.
I got it this morning, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, no, I just want to, yeah, exactly. No, that wasn't what I was going to ask you. What I was going to ask you, in regards to when you got it, the review that you did, are you satisfied with the review of the documents?
No, it was a very short review. I didn't get to look at it thoroughly, no.
Okay, all right, that's all for you. Thank you. Director Lampkin?
Just so we're clear, we all got the documentation this morning. That was the timeline that the administrator gave Train to have it back at least by first thing this morning, so we can get an agenda package so that they can make the corrections that NV5 recommended.
What makes this time sensitive?
Like I said, if we are or intend on going into construction, you have a 40% tax credit that you get from the project if you do it. So whatever monies you spend out by doing this solar as part of the project, the government is offering a 40% tax credit. So although we have to spend out some money, you get that 40% back, which we just found out, which was not available in phase 1, which now we can actually go back and get it in phase 1 as well. So the reason why it's time sensitive is because the longer you wait to do it, the less percentage you get. So it starts out at 40%. The longer you wait to go into construction, it starts to dwindle to 30%, 20%. So you'll see that the longer you wait, the less money you get back. So, and that's why we're trying to get this done in this manner.
Okay, and NV5 and Train, is there a is there knowledge or an agreement that, first of all, who's doing the audit then?
Train does the audit, NV5 does the review along with the city.
And that's what's in the contract?
Right.
Okay, that's what's in the current contract?
Right, so
but we're calling this a phase 2, which you're saying probably shouldn't really be phase 2.
Right, because it's a continuation of the project we already are in the process of doing that has not completed the first phase of the project. So, according to what was said in the beginning, I guess the audit the last time was called phase 1, construction phase 2. So we can call it phase 3 because we're actually continuing to move forward with a project that we're already in the process of.
So this doesn't require a change order or anything like that?
And right, so once again, that would be a change order, and that's item 25 for NV5 to include, extended services on their part to review the audit. Because they're already under contract, we're just extending their contract to review the audit. We're extending Train's contract to do a new audit to move forward with a second part of construction.
Can we hear from NV5?
Yes, sir. They're on the line. All right, Madam Clerk, can we get them to introduce themselves for the record, who they are?
Can't hear them.
They're coming. Oh, Lord, they hung up.
Oh, well. In the meantime.
Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back.
Is somebody saying something? Can we put the microphone up to it to the?
Oh, let me. She's not in the queue. Somebody drop out.
There we go.
All right, let's try it again.
Hello?
Aldo.
We're
Okay.
asking questions. That's what we're supposed to do. Nobody said anything about approving nothing. We're inquiring.
That's a good idea.
Old school, right?
Old school.
All right.
Hello?
Okay, Aldo, we're going to try it again.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead with your introduction.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. My name's Aldo Mazzaferro. I'm an engineer with NV5's Clean Energy Group. And we've been working with the city now for about 2 to 3 years. It's hard to keep track, but we specialize in providing owner's rep services and third-party technical advisory services on these types of energy performance contracts. And we do this work all over the country for large organizations like military Air Force bases down to small local school districts and pretty much everybody in between. So the way I like to describe our services is we act as an extension of your staff, bringing this ESPC or energy savings performance contracting expertise to the city to protect you and be an advisor through this large, complex project. I was listening in on some of the discussion from your live stream online, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, but apologies, I can't be there in person.
All right, very good. The question that I have is your contractual relationship with Train, with the city here, and the auditing piece of that. What is your take on that?
Yes, we have no contractual relationship with Train or any other energy services company, or ESCO for short. That's ESCO. As your independent owner's rep, we work for the city. We're not under contract to Train. We don't do anything for Train. We're purely in a peer review evaluator type role, similar to how a fiscal advisor or legal counsel would work for the city.
And you're a part of this audit process?
Yes, so our role in it is to be almost like a peer reviewer, where when the audit process begins, we'll be joining Train to walk the sites, audit the sites, kind of looking over their shoulder to make sure what they're doing is accurate. We'll be reviewing interim deliverables that come in, making sure that all the inputs and assumptions and calculation methodology and project costs and terms and conditions are all done accurately and in the best interest of the city. So this was a very similar role we played to the first project you all did, except this time we're starting from the beginning of the audit process. Previously, you completed the audit and then we were hired to review it. This is a much more kind of proactive approach that allows us to kind of collaborate and develop the audit jointly in this support role, so that in a few months when we do come back to you, we're all in agreement on the contents of the audit and ready to move forward with construction.
And can you say that again? You said you were in agreement. Could you say that last sentence again?
After we've gone through the audit process, we would come back to you, and after we've completed our review, we would be, theoretically saying the project, yes, this is a good project, you should move forward with it. But first, we need to complete the audit, and we need to review all of Train's calculations and pricing methodology and different terms and conditions like that on the project to make sure it's in your best interest.
And from your standpoint or your part that you play in this, are you aware of any time sensitivity?
Could you repeat that last part?
From your standpoint and what your company does, are you aware of any time sensitivity for this agenda item?
The time sensitivity, I think, is what you said, right?
Right, correct.
Yes, that's a very real factor to consider here. The investment tax credit, which is what this project is seeking to capture, is going to change come 2021, or excuse me, 2025. So there's definitely goals to get to construction within that deadline, by that deadline, so that you can maximize the tax credit that you would get for this investment.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to go back to the question that I asked about this not going through procurement. Well, the first question I want to ask is, you're saying, Ron, that this is not a phase 2, but you made this agenda item, correct?
That's correct.
So two things. You made the agenda item and it said phase 2. It came through the Administrative Services Committee meeting last week as an addendum. Can you explain why it came as an addendum, and can you explain why it's saying phase 2 if you're saying that it's a change order?
The reason why it says phase 2, because for me, the first part of the project was already done.
Not for you. I don't want your opinion. I want what's fact. What is it, a phase 2 or is this a change order?
Well, it's a change order to go into phase 2 if that's the way it has to be worded. But the reason why I say that's because the audit and the construction.
Excuse me, sir, hold on 1 second.
Yes.
It's not if that's the way it has to be worded. I want the proper wording, the wording that is legal. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page here.
Well, we can call it.
Let me get the procurement director back up here.
Well, we can call it a change order.
Let's get the procurement director up here.
All right. Director Sams.
Ms. Sams, being that we're on this item again, could you repeat what you said during the delegation portion of this agenda, where the procurement side of this is related?
Well, the procurement side of this would be related because, as written in the agenda book, this was going to be a phase 2. And it's truly a difference between a phase 2 and a change order.
Okay, let's pause right there. Walk us through the difference between a phase 2 and a change order.
A phase 2 of a project normally is identified during the bidding process, that they're going to be a phase 1, 2, and 3, or how it, whatever.
Has that happened with this project?
Well, in this project, when I was going through old data from the RFP and the procurement process, I just found a lot of inconsistency as it relates to the agenda item that was placed on the agenda, and I'm looking at it solely as a phase 2 project.
Okay. Now, change order. Explain to us the change order aspect here.
A change order, the work is already being done, and something unexpectedly happened that causes you to have to do a change order.
Does that apply to this?
I can't get all the pieces together, sir, and so I cannot give you an affirmative answer, one way or the other.
Okay. Were you involved? I know there were meetings held before this item got on the agenda. Were you involved in any pre-meetings before this item got on the agenda?
No, sir.
Were you involved in any meetings with Train?
No, sir.
Administrator?
No, sir.
Finance? Central Services?
No, sir.
Legal?
No, sir.
Train's consultant?
No, sir.
Our consultant?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I get finance up here, please? Thank you, Ms. Sams.
Director Donna Williams, you've been summoned. And I'm going to ask Train, while you're working on that, Commissioner, from the first, we're going to ask a representative from Train to come on up to this other side, too. Is there anybody from Train here? We're going to get you guys to come up, too, because obviously you're at the center of this. Come to this side, sir. Other side. There you go.
Ms. Williams, what I'm concerned with is a question that I have for you right now is that on the screen, it says, in addition, approve a payment of $398,000. But in the contract that we received this morning, the total was around $450,000, $450,863. That's a $52,000 difference that's in the contract this morning versus what we saw last week. Are you aware of a $52,000 difference between what's on our screen and what's in the contract?
Yes, sir. I became aware of it when it came in at about 9:30 this morning.
So you were only aware of a $52,000 change in the contract at 9:30 this morning?
Yes, sir.
And
That's
you were
when the
expected
document
to,
came in.
And we're expected to vote on that too? Okay, question for you. There was a 40% and a 30% and a 60% figures raised during this conversation that Director Lankin was speaking on. Is that accurate to your knowledge?
Okay, the 40%, are you referring to the tax credit percentage?
Yes.
Okay, that is the gross number if we were to finance this with a taxable mechanism. Of course, Augusta typically uses tax-exempt financing mechanism, and that will reduce that 40% down somewhat.
So can you speak further to the financial feasibility of this Part 2 change order, whatever? What is the financial impact here?
We're still, right now, the only financial impact that I can speak to with any level of certainty is the proposal for this audit, which is now $452,000, and the contractual arrangement, if we enter into it with NV5, for them to work on Augusta's behalf to make certain that the project is going along like it should, that there is indeed a feasible project as we go through this audit process. The reason the item was added in as an addendum on the committee last time is because it did not make it through the review process in time to get on the committee, because finance was still trying to get and to work through the numbers and trying to determine whether or not we were going to put our stamp of approval on the process. And it was added as an addendum. It was spoke about on the floor, and the administrator asked for approximately 2 weeks to go through this, but in the end that was back down to today. And like I said, this last bit of information came in this morning. So we're still just a little bit behind the curve.
So that's, it's unfortunate that we're even having this conversation, that we're getting ready to try to spend $450,000 today on something that our leadership has not had an opportunity to really review. I know last week we said, I mentioned 2 weeks. We said 1 week because we were trying to protect train and their timelines, but I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but I'm not here to protect train. I want to make sure that we're protecting our interest. And if the people that we're paying hadn't had an opportunity to see it and actually give a thorough look into this thing, I mean, legal got it this morning. I think that, again, my colleagues will do whatever they want, but I want to make sure that we are on the same page, that the least thing that we can do is make sure that everyone's at the table and have had an idea at what we're probably getting ready to get ourselves into. Because let's be honest, the likelihood of us not moving forward after an audit is done is very slim to none. We're going to move forward. I can bet the farm on it. So we're going to get ourselves into that kind of money, into that type of money pit that's probably going to require a bond. We should slow down a little bit, as our procurement director says. But anyways, I yield, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I just have, since we have a train representative at the podium, I'm coming to you. I just got one question. I'm coming to you.
We don't really need to get the train if we're not going to go that way, but go ahead, sir.
I just want for clarification, is this a change order or is this a phase 2? Just for you to put on, help us understand this.
Train is neutral on that.
Okay. All right. I don't know. All right. Wait a minute. All right. Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yes. I forgot the lawyer's name. What's your name? Lapita? Lanita? Come on back up here. Come. Al Mason just threw you away. I want you to say what you have to say. He just threw you away. Did you have something that you wanted to add to that?
No, sir.
All right. Well, you can sit down. All right.
All right.
I see. Look, we can go back and forth. I got up this morning. I ate some Wheaties. I promised myself that I wasn't going to go back and forth with anybody today. So I'm listening to what people are saying. Our folks have not had an opportunity. I'm not going to say that I'm going to vote against it. What I am saying is that our people need to take a look at it. So I'm going to make a motion again to give us 30 days to look at it.
All right. All right.
Well, Brandon Garrett is saying the first commission meeting after the Masters. That's fine with me. I don't care. Is that enough?
All right.
All right. We got some seconds.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion to move this to the first meeting after the Masters tournament. Can you put that date on the record? What date is that? So Masters is the 9th, 7 days from the 9th. Is that the 16th?
All right, that means Miss Sam's going to have to work fast. She's going to have to work some miracles there.
Wait a minute, colleagues. Wait a second now. Is that September 16th?
September.
I mean, April 16th. I don't know one thing about September. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So April 16th, there's a motion and there's a second. I see a few other folks in the queue. Let me address them. Commissioner from the 2nd, Commissioner Stacy Pulliam.
I yield. I'm going to go with that motion. Yes, sir.
All right. Commissioner Tony Lewis from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like the motion myself because I was going to ask Mr. Hassan to come back up. I had a question for him.
All right. Do you still have that question, or are you good?
I think I'm good now. The motion, we're going to move with the motion, and I'll hold this question that I had for Mr. Hassan during his presentation. I'll probably be able to ask him, do a sidebar with him on that.
You got it. All right, Madam Clerk, there's a motion and a second to move this item for consideration to April 16th. We're voting. You want to make them companion items 25 and 26 to be addressed on April. I don't know why I get stuck on September. April 16th.
So okay. Same motion for 25. Okay. That motion carries 8-1, with Ms. McKnight voting no.
All right. All right, Madam Clerk, we're spending enough time on that. Let's move on to the top of this agenda and come on down. Going back to item number 2 for Commissioner Bobby Williams, who has to be pulled.
Yeah, I just
Wait a second, we're going to get to it. You got to let her read it to the record.
Well, don't call my name.
Item number 2 is a request for concurrence with the Augusta Planning Commission to approve the petition JSM Development LLC to remove condition 1 from previously approved Z2250 and rezone the property from a zone R3B multiple family residential to a zone R1E single family residential, affecting property at 3125 Richmond Hill Road.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Director Delaney, Commissioner from the 5th asked this be pulled. He may have a specific question.
All right. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well, and yourselves?
All right. So what is condition 1 and why are we trying to remove it?
All right. So this application went through and was approved for it to be a 112 apartment units, for 112 apartment units. So what they came back, and the first condition was that the development could not exceed 112 apartment units, and it must be apartments. So they're now reducing it to a townhome community, which is preferable. So they're going to go from 122 apartments down to, I just circled it, 39 dwelling units.
So just 39 townhomes?
Yes, sir.
And that's the only to remove it? Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and proper second from Commissioner Sean Frenham from the 7th. Madam Clerk, we're voting. Takes us to number.
That motion is unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I think that takes us to 23, right? 23, I think.
23.
Yep.
Item 23, motion to rescind 6-month probation for Club Climax, a.k.a. Club Rain, 1855 Gordon Highway, for failure to comply with the Richmond County alcohol ordinance.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Stacy Pulliam, this is your item. You have the floor, Madam. Commissioner Pulliam, Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Johnson. I've been told that he was not given enough notice to be present, so we can postpone this item.
Okay. For the record, would you like to postpone it to the next commission meeting?
Yes.
All right. After the Masters?
April 2nd.
Yes.
After Masters says April 16th?
Is that correct? No, it's not. Why?
Okay.
April 2nd.
My colleagues have jokes.
It says
and it's
April
not
2nd.
funny.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, 2 weeks. All right. Is there any objection to that, colleagues?
Ms. Frenham, did you second that?
You good with it? You second it? All right, so I guess, so we're going to vote. All right, there's a motion. There's a second. I didn't hear it. 2 weeks, April 2nd.
To the next commission meeting.
All right, we're voting.
No, 27, 28.
Mr. Lewis? Thank you. I see you out. Okay. That motion carries with Mr. Lewis out.
I'm out when I'm in.
All right. All right. Madam Clerk, it takes us on down.
Okay, that
27.
25.
No, we're done.
27.
7. Update on right-of-way maintenance schedule for 2024.
All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I put this on the agenda because I'm already receiving phone calls about right-of-ways need to be cut, vacant lots need to be maintained. And last cutting cycle, I was aware that we only had 1 or 2 vendors or something like that, one vendor doing majority of the cutting and maybe had 2 subs, and I just thought that was, a little inefficient. So I wanted Dr. Malik to come and give us an update on what's our plan for this year's grass cutting season. We're already receiving phone calls, and so, Dr. Malik.
All right, Dr. Malik, welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. So 2024 maintenance schedule, there's no change really from the last year maintenance schedule. So we have several maintenance programs which we run. So one is the right-of-way maintenance, and that's divided into two parts. One is the contract services, around 158 linear miles, which are the highly visible corridors are maintained by the contract. So this roughly is from March to November or late October, 8 cuts or per month cuts on that. The others we have two teams, in-house crew. They take care of some other roadways, some downtown area, and this around the West Augusta side, and the rest is what we call a rural area. As far as the pond maintenance goes, the city-owned ponds, roughly 145, are the major ponds. They are cut one time a year, so it's going to same schedule. Normally they're about to starting now. It's on that one. As far as the ditches and all that, that's really depends on the inmate crew, what we get. And that's where it's, right now we are around probably 3 to 4 for the past 2 months. But the last year there was on average around 3 crews. So it's more or less a reactive schedule on that. The vacant lots, right now, the last 2 months, like January, it was around 45 lots were cut, February 89, and up to March 18, 35, around 165 are waiting on the list. So there's $350,000 allocated to that. It's $6,000 per week, 3-man crew. So that's the way. So normally they cut 12 to 15 lots in a week. So that will carry us to the year around. It's 52 times 6, like $312,000, and we have some cushion on that.
So, Dr. Malik, question for you. The right-of-way maintenance, right-of-way mowing, you said around 160 CLM, contractor services. How many companies are procured to do this contract?
I think it's 5. Yeah.
5.
The
So
5
we have
contracts.
5.
Yes, sir.
5 companies
Yeah.
maintaining our right-of-ways.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, going down to the vacant lot cleaning and mowing, contractor services, how many do we have for that?
We have one contractor.
One contractor.
Yes, sir.
Is that enough?
Right now, given the resources, yes, sir.
Yeah. Given the resources, it is enough. But so basically, we're saying that's not enough, right? If you have more resources, you can get more people doing more cutting.
Yes, sir. So like last year, we started late, so same contractor has 2 crew per week. So like $12,000. So it's a 3-man crew, so the same contractor can add another crew or more crew. Yeah.
So you have one company with 3 people cutting all the vacant lots in Augusta? That's on our list?
Yeah, the lots, they are coming to us as non-compliance. Yeah, and
So
it's always been like that.
So what is it going to take, Dr. Malik, to get this moving a little faster? I mean, I think that having one company and 3 crews is just, it's not enough. So what can we do to up this frequency and the actual quality of the cutting? And I think we have this conversation every year. I just want to make sure that we have an actual plan to do this.
I mean, right now it's $350,000, so that's what we're planning accordingly. If 350 become, 700, 17, so we can plan accordingly.
How much more money do you need for the vacant lot maintenance?
I have to get a little help from my, Charlie.
Get in the queue. Get in the queue. And, you know,
To keep it up as fast as everything starts coming in when the growing season starts, we would probably need 3 crews.
3 additional crews.
No, 2 additional. We've got 1, so we need 2 additional.
Are you talking about contractors, 2 additional companies?
No, same company, 2 additional crews. He's running 1 crew right now.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it only 1 company doing this work?
That's what was, when it was bid out, that's what it was assigned to.
Okay. And so dollar-wise, what are your thoughts, dollar-wise?
About $950,000.
$950,000 in addition to the 350?
No, including the 350.
Including the 350.
You can't do it.
Thank God. Okay, let's, I'm gonna get out of queue and ask another colleague to speak.
All right, so thank you, Dr. Malik, for being here. When I add this up, it's a little over $5 million, and I'm looking at another contract where we recently approved to have the ground maintenance contract, and that's just today for Central Services. I still advocate we need to consolidate this effort. We got too many people cutting grass, and there's no accountability to it anywhere.
That's for a facility, though.
Oh, I know it, but it's still grass cutting.
But it ain't right away.
It ain't right. Well, I agree with you. So I guess I'm gonna go through the queue here. Commissioner Pulley.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Dr. Malik, my question is, I know that there were several lots and ditches that were on a reactive schedule. What does it take to move those ditches from a reactive schedule to being regularly scheduled on the maintenance? Is that part of the $950,000?
Ditches aren't included in the vacant lots. That's an entirely different category.
Okay. And what about the roads? Last year, I posed a question, and I was sent a list of roads that were on a proactive schedule. This was on July the 12th, but there were several roads that were on a reactive schedule. So what's the differentiating factor? What makes something reactive versus proactive?
So there are several factors right now. The primary factor is the highly traveled roads, which are highly visible, the major corridor, and that's what we're doing 158. Commissioner, if you remember, late last year, I did present the summary. If you really want to go to the schedule, what it's going to cost, and that cost is, it's not feasible to do that. Like we have 1,100 central line miles of roads. And so if with the current contract around 2,500 per central line miles, if we do per month annually, that comes to $22 million. Developing a proactive schedule or getting things done is really is tied to the allocated resources each year we get in the budget. Like this year, like in stormwater, the contract services budget last year was $5.5 million, and this year it's dropped to 4.8 because some of the funds went to somewhere else. So we're working with the reduced resources and delivering the service to the extent maximum really possible.
My follow-up question to that is, when you say the highly visible roads, is there a traffic count that you're doing for these roads? Are they roads that are main gateway roads? Like, what's the determining factor for the highly visible roads?
Yes, the traffic counts. There are arterials, the main, entryway, all those things. So, yeah, like Winter Spring Road, we do that. We got ML King. So I have a list of all the roads. There's around 158 central line miles of the road. But we do have other schedule, but that is quarterly. What forces we use, county forces?
We, in the rural areas, we're trying to use our people because we just don't have the resources to contract it out. Those we're trying to get a 3-cut schedule a year. And it's honestly, it's tough to do, but we're trying to get around 3 times a year. And that's mainly in the rural areas.
And so what about some of the inner city areas, like off of MLK, Tubman Road area, those areas that may not necessarily be highly visible for those that don't live in those areas, but they are highly visible to the constituents that are there?
Those have always been reactive roads, and the allocated funds it just never materialized to include those roads on a planned schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pulliam. Chair recognizes Commissioner Francine Scott from the 9th.
Thank you, sir.
That's where I'm going.
This is more of a statement and to answer Commissioner Johnson's question about what we need to do. I think for 3.5 years, we've been kicking this can down the road, saying that we don't have the money, or if we identify the money, but you still have, especially in District 1, 2, and 4, from Wrightsboro Road to Steiner Avenue to all the streets in between. Every street I go down, there's grass as tall as me, and I'm 5'7". So we need to do something, and I'll be bringing a proposal back. We need to look at how we can consolidate this and be serious about consolidating this effort, because it's not going anywhere. Today, and we'll come back next year, and we'll have the same issue of the highly traffic areas being cut. And once a year, you got beautification in certain areas and not in the area that the people that vote for us. This is a concern to me, colleagues, and we need to do something about it.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this question is for Dr. Malik and Charlie. I'm just looking at the paperwork that you handed out, and the vacant lot where you're saying they're doing 12 to 15 lots a week at $6,000 per week. I mean, are they really charging us $400 to $500 per lot to cut these things? I mean,
In some cases, that may be what it works out to, but you got to consider too, some of these lots probably haven't been touched in two years,
well,
some more. Some they're cutting out
that's
small
what we're all
trees.
trying to get around to is that's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, like last year, you know, the land bank came to us and asked for $1 million for vacant lot maintenance. What happened there? I mean, and what are they taking care of, or do we know?
I don't know about the land bank.
I mean, am I mistaken? Isn't that what the $1 million was for?
No, it was for affordable housing construction.
That was for vacant lots. Sure.
All right. Well, that's a question for the land bank.
It is. But once again, you're saying you need 950 to be able to take care of these lots. So even if you got the 950, would you be able to take care of all the vacant lots once a year?
That I think we could do. That would give us 3 crews to run full time.
Okay. But and like I said, I'm just trying to wrap my head around a $400 lawn job to basically go in and cut a vacant lot. I mean, I understand if they've been growing for a year, but
some of them have been growing for more than that. They're cutting out 2 and 3 inch trees in it.
So when they do go cut these lots, are they at least spraying them when they're done?
Yes.
They are?
Yeah.
And we're still not been able to get longer time than that? I mean, I know glyphosate only good for, 3 to 6 months, but if we time it right.
Well,
all right.
What they're doing is cutting it, and then they wait a couple of weeks and let the growth start back, then we go back and spray it at that time.
Have we considered overseeding these lots when we kill the weeds, like with wildflowers or something? I mean, that's been proven around the country that if you instead of using grasses, and especially here where Johnson grass invades and all the other nuisance grasses like Bahia come in and, overseed these with wildflowers or things that are a lot less maintenance, literally only needs cutting once a year to basically chop down the head so the seeds fall again. I'm just saying that there's got to be a better way than this.
I agree with that part. But no, to answer your question, no, that hasn't been considered.
All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th. Commissioner
All
Bowman.
right. It's about time to go home, isn't it? So I'm going to take a little heat off Dr. Malik and his assistant over there. I want to ask the warden to come up.
Is the warden here?
Is he here? He's over there.
Oh, the warden's here.
He's trying to hide. He's on a little taller than I am.
That Warden Joseph?
Sir, good afternoon,
And
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Y'all owe me about 2 paved streets for taking the heat off, you know.
All right.
How you doing today, Mr. Warden?
Doing good, sir.
Good, good. How many crews do you have now?
Specifically for engineering?
Specifically for cutting grass and or blight or what have you?
Right. So we allocated 24 cruises altogether.
24.
That's not for engineering alone. That's for all the city departments that we support. Specifically for engineering, it's 13 altogether.
Okay.
2 of which are civilian supervisors.
Okay, so I know you said you had to send some people to some training.
Right.
So do you have the people? Are you getting the people, or what's going on?
Right. Thanks to this body for increasing the salary. We've actually had a waiting list of employees,
Really?
candidates. Yes, sir. So
Really?
as it stands today, specifically for Dr. Malik's department, he has 8 full-time certified officers. That's in addition to the 2 civilian that he has. So he's only short 5 officers.
Okay.
And we're trying to get them in school as quickly as possible.
Okay.
To get them the details out.
And if you got 24 crews, I can call you every day to get something
No,
done.
but they allocated different departments.
Oh,
Commissioner.
come on now. But that's basically what I want to tell you. Anything else that you can tell us that we need to know?
No, just to reemphasize again that we're trying to get these officers certified as quickly as possible, and as soon as we get them up to speed, we'll give them to the department. I think we're doing a pretty good job under the circumstances, but it's going to take a lot more resources to help the other departments that we assist.
Okay, let me ask you for a favor. Those things that you know we call you about all the time. I call you about cutting. What do you call it? Where the water goes in? Where it collects the
Retention
water.
ponds?
The retention ponds and different things like that. Can you guys, without me calling you, just send some crews out in the area and cut those?
We can, Commissioner, but the way it works, the way it's set up, we assign the details to the departments.
Okay.
The only time we'll step in is if we get a call from an elected official or citizens that is a hazard, then we'll step in.
Okay.
But typically what happens, we give the details to the assigned departments, and they decide what work order they're going to fill for that day.
Okay. I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stacy Pulliam, you're back in the queue.
Thank you so much. Last question, hopefully. Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Earlier, you stated that the funds had not been allocated to those areas. When we set the budget, we set an overall budget. Who determines which areas are going to get cut? And this is for Mr. Charlie said that.
I think what's been allocated is something to the tune of, $3.1 million that we're using for contracts.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah. Something to the tune of $3.1 million that we're using for contract, and that is being fully used under contract labor. The roads, as Dr. Malik said, are chosen by most traveled and most visible.
Right, but you said earlier that funds were never allocated to those areas, meaning in the plan, in the whole scheme of things, those areas are left out in the planning process, and they're continuously looked at as reactive. You said funds hadn't been allocated to those areas to make them proactive areas.
I think the word I used was materialized. From the very beginning, when this first started way back in 2016 or 17, subdivisions and basically city streets weren't included. They never have been included. And the interest to include them has started showing up in the last couple of years.
All right, thank you.
All right. See no other colleagues in the queue. Is there any objection from receiving this information?
No objection, Mr. Mayor, but I do want to add something here is that, we shouldn't have to make phone calls to get things done. I think that we need to really have a conversation about how Commissioner Scott said, consolidate these things. The same ditches need cleaning every year. The same roads need maintaining every year. The same vacant lots need maintaining every year. If it's a money thing, then let's have a money conversation. But if it's a conversation about who's responsible for something, I mean, I know the right sizing plan spoke of that. We had a chance to pass that. But I should not have to call the warden or y'all two, Dr. Malik and Charlie, to get something done. Well, we know that it's there, right? We know that it's needed. So, I'm thinking the next few weeks we're going to have a real sit-down conversation about it because this is going to be on the agenda again before November. And I'm not going to be the one to put it on there. It's going to be back. So let's continue to, think about that. What do you need moving forward? And how can you utilize some of the money that we've already given you to? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. All right, Madam Clerk, are we going to receive this as information? I don't think there's any objection. Okay, without objection. Commissioner McKnight, you keep coming in and out.
I wanted to say this on the flip side. Most of the time when I call Mr. Charlie Gay, he's right on board. So I do want to say hats off to you. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate it.
With that being, never mind.
All right. Okay. All right, colleagues. All right, Madam Clerk, we got one more item.
Yes, sir. Item 28 is to approve the administrator's recommendation to extend residential solid waste and recyclable collection second transition agreement between Augusta, Georgia and Georgia Waste Systems from July 1, 2024 to December 31, 2025 for $21.86 per house per month.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. I see Commissioner Garrett. I'm sorry. This was an item put forth by the interim administrator. Commissioner Jackson, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, members of the commission. This item is a recommendation from the administrator to approve a second extension agreement between Augusta government and Georgia Waste Systems. In your packet, you'll see a copy of the proposal. Of note, beginning with the terms on the first page, at the bottom of the first page, this would begin July 1st, 2024, terminating on December 31st, 2025. The second item of note is on page 2, the extension compensation. Again, as was mentioned by Ms. Bonner, this will be for a $21.86 per home per month rate. And then the item below that, damage and fees, Augusta agrees to eliminate all damages and fines against the contractor during this transition period. But this is the administrator's recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you. And, Deputy Administrator, before I make a motion in regards to this, can you tell me how much we are waiving in regards to the damages that Waste Management has not paid?
This is something that has been measured in the past, probably over the past 2 or 3 years. I think Dr. Malik would have more of a context on what the estimated amount is for the liquidated damages.
Dr. Malik, do you have an estimate on that?
I don't have really the estimate on this point, but right now the level of service is acceptable, so it's not that much. The last I saw was, I think it was around 30,000 or something.
When's the last time that we actually received payments for damages from Waste Management?
That was I believe it was last year in November or later.
So they haven't paid anything this year?
Well, it's transition period right now.
So it's current. You said it's currently sitting at around 30,000, and is that total or is that for like last month? What are we waiving? I mean, if it's going to be part of the motion, how much are we waiving? That's the question.
I have to look at that number because I really don't want to guess that number. I have to look at that.
Thanks, sir.
on the average
$30,000.
on that. So.
All right. I make a motion that we send this back to committee so we can get an answer in regards to how much we are waiving before we proceed.
Second.
Go ahead.
All right, that's a second from Commissioner McKnight and a motion. All right, Commissioner McKnight, you stopped out of queue.
Yeah,
Madam
I was
Clerk?
going to say something.
All right, you have
Since
the
we
floor.
already did a motion, since we've already said a motion, I do want to ask. Georgia Waste Management comes around and picks up trash, and then they come around the same day, several hours later, and pick up recycling. And it looks like it's all going into the same waste management. So what do we tell the folks who call and ask about recycling when they see waste management picking up trash earlier that morning, and then in the afternoon they're picking up trash, picking up recycling that people have spent time putting in recycling, but they're dumping that recycling into waste management dumpster like they do when they pick up trash earlier that day. Same trash, waste carried. I have a question. I do. I'm wanting to send this back, so I second it, but I just have a question.
Yeah, yes, sir. So there are 4 types of waste under contract. So residential waste, which is, garbage, yard waste, bulky waste, and recyclable. So last year, when we have a freeze in December of 2022, the facility where the recycling material was hauling to become non-functional because all the fire suppressing system on the lines was busted because of the freeze. So the last whole year, the facility was not cleared by the fire department to be safe. So that's what probably, but they still should not be mixing those, as far as the contract goes, the term of the condition. It should go in a separate truck on that. So if we know it's happening, they can just call the department and we'll investigate, and then there are fines associated with that,
Because it's happening around my district. I do know that. I've been receiving calls about it. And basically, people are saying, why have a recycling bin and put it on the street if we're having trash, if it's being picked up and dumped into the waste management? So, I say, well, I probably wouldn't recycle then, because if it's going into the trash, waste management's trash from earlier that same day when they're picking up regular trash, then I feel like it's not fair to citizens who spend time recycling. We just need to figure out where our recycling trucks are. Because obviously they aren't picking up recycling.
They're not. All right. Commissioner McKnight, there is hope, because I was over at Warren Road Community Center, and there are recycle bins over there where I see private citizens taking everything from glass to newspaper, and it's actually being utilized, cardboard.
Okay. But I'm talking residential.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, colleagues, we're voting. There's a motion, proper second. Madam Clerk, just for the record, please restate the motion.
Referring it to next committee.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, let's vote.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Does that conclude our business for today?
With Mr. Franham and Guilfoyle out. Yes, sir.
All right. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you guys for being here.